talk about Disney. You know, it's like I am a Disney character, and so basically he challenged me, and it's like, and he was the kind of guy who you didn't want to say no to his challenge, because if you did say no, he'd say, "I know it, you were nothing but a wimp. I got like maybe 2 books. No, here's a stack of 7." It's like I am not going to sit here and read 7 books to everybody and trying to be like I'm interested in reading all these books.
So, Tito, we're going to get to our guest in a second, but I have some important questions for you right away. So,
Okay.
what are you most proud of yourself? Are you proud of stepping out of your comfort zone or learning new things about yourself?
Ooh, stepping out of my comfort zone. That's, I think,
Okay.
what I'm most proud of.
All right, I think it's important to fight for what I believe in, explore new places, or create your own path. What do you think?
Fight what you believe in. Say that again.
Explore new places or create my own
your
path.
own path. Okay. I mean, I think those are good. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
I'll pick create your own path.
Okay. In life, I prefer to either plan ahead or go with the flow.
Oh, I would love to plan ahead. I'm a go with the flow guy, though.
Well, congratulations. According to Disney Parks blog, which Disney princess are you?
Yes?
You're Jasmine.
Oh, okay. As ridiculous as this is, it's kind of perfect because
I
as
love
a
it.
kid, I had the biggest crush on Jasmine. So I like that
And we all like ourselves, right?
I like that our personalities match. I feel like we would have been a good couple.
Well, that took an odd turn. Not what I was expecting. We should bring on a guest that will bring a little more levity to the situation, a little more seriousness, someone who will focus us on the things that really matter. Do you know who I'm talking about? The most serious friar in the order?
I can't imagine anyone in the order like that.
No, not at all, and certainly not our guest today.
No.
We are pleased to welcome Jim Sabak. Father Jim, welcome to the show. Which Disney princess do you think you are?
Yeah.
I think I would be more like a wicked stepmother.
Well, that is a second quiz. There is one. Which
There is-
Disney villain are you?
Which vicious villain are you?
I feel like you're Donkey from Shrek.
I could very well be Ducky from Shrek. I could
Oh,
very well be
yes.
Ducky. Yes, indeed. Yes,
That's
indeed.
hilarious. Absolutely. And in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. Getting on everyone's nerves. Everyone's nerves.
Wonderful.
Well, you know, I say this as a joke, but, you know, I work in an elementary school now, and these things come up, and they talk about Encanto, and they talk about Elsa, and then, you know, Frozen, all these things. You work in an elementary school, I understand. Do you know the Disney princesses now than you ever thought you would?
Oh my God, yes. I know. You know everything Disney. Everything Disney. The whole conglomerate. The money-making machine that Disney is.
All the backpacks, all the lunchboxes, everything.
Every Halloween costume, everything. It's like, yes. Lunchboxes, all those kinds of things. Everything Disney.
What about the songs now? Do you know any Disney songs?
Oh, I know thousands of Disney songs. Yeah.
So let me just ask you this question then.
Yes.
Who don't we talk about?
Oh, we don't talk about not Pablo.
Nope.
It's a Spanish name.
It is. It's okay. You know what? I'll count it. I'll
Hector,
count it.
Okay. Yes. It's,
But you were closer with Pablo. I'll count it. I'll count it.
Okay.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Bruno, that's it. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's too new. Cinderella.
Okay.
Bibbidi Bobbidi
Okay.
Boo. Yes. Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Snow
So
White.
it's
Someday my
interesting
prince
we even
will
asked
come.
this.
Yeah.
You know, without any context, and we're asking you about kids and you're working in elementary school, you might think like you went to school for elementary education, which you absolutely
Yes.
did not, right?
No,
you
I
have
did
a
not.
PhD. What are you
Yes,
doing
I
working in
do.
elementary school?
No one believes it.
And not just any PhD. You have a PhD in liturgy, right?
Yes.
These kids are dying to learn about liturgy. I can only
And
imagine.
believe me, the complexities.
PhD students, look what it gets you. This is
Yep.
where their job
Exactly.
market
Look
is.
at you don't know where you can end up, and so you may become me.
So you're a liturgist working in elementary school. Tell us the story. How did we get into this?
I was teaching in college and university, and I was loving it. It was great to teach, but I was not teaching in one of our schools. And I knew that the time might always come in which I would get the call that would say, well, this is nice that you're doing that, but we really have a need in X, and we did have
Obedience.
a need in X.
Yep.
And so obedience. It's wonderful when obedience works in. And kicking and screaming and cursing all over the place, I ended up in Raleigh, North Carolina, at one of our parishes that had a school attached to it. And again, the whole time was, I'm just here for a little bit. I'm in stasis. I'm going to be moving on. I'm going to be moving on. This isn't permanent. I don't want to be here, and so on and so on. Luckily, what I found out is that the parish has a school, attached to it. But again, elementary school, and unfortunately, I had no high regard. I will say, with all humility and whatever it is, I had no high regard for elementary schools, elementary education. Children are germ spreaders, and again, as they get older into middle school, they are smelly and awful. And so I figured, this is never going to work. But the principal, who was there, and again, everybody knew in the parish that I had a doctorate, and I was coming from a college university setting, and so they were kind of like, "Oh, how is this going to work?" But the principal at that time, Mike, basically said, you used to teach, and you're not teaching anymore, but here's a wonderful different kind of opportunity. And he presented it more as a challenge. And so it's like, I challenge
It is a
you
challenge.
to come in and to be a presence, that could be a little bit more consistent than sometimes some of the other guys who were at the parish could give, to the school. Again, the school, just to let everybody know, it has 668 students. Today,
gosh.
when I arrived, it had about 600.
That's a lot of germs.
A lot of germs. It is ground zero for all kinds of plagues.
We have a stomach bug going through our second grade right now, and we only have 180
really?
students.
I can imagine.
Stay away.
And so basically he challenged me, and it's like, and he was the kind of guy who you didn't want to say no to his challenge, because if you did say no, he'd say, "I know it, you were nothing but a wimp." And so I came in, to take on as I was the Franciscan friar at the school, but he made me kind of director of religion. It was sort of kind of a made up title. But
you have a master of divinity. Why wouldn't you be director of religion?
No, exactly. I could have been the master for the school. But it was fantastic. And I began by just getting to know the kids. What we do in the mornings is a morning prayer, an adaptive morning prayer for the entire community of the school. And we do it in one of the courtyards, generally outside because it's North Carolina. And generally, again, our climate is such that most of the times we can be outside. And I just kind of began to show up. And it's like, and it grew from there. It was like the ministry of presence. We make fun of it all the time. It's kind of like our charism is wholeness. It's like ministry of presence, it can do tremendous work that you don't even realize because you are there. And it grew into teachers asking, well, could you come in and do this, come in and do that? And I talk about Disney. It's like I am a Disney character. I think the kids, they take, like everyone always says, they take to you because of the habit. The collar is different, but they began to take to me because here I am, in this dress, which is like has a cord and a hood and everything else like that, and it's immediately, it's like take your picture, with the character, take your picture with, Scooby Doo, but it's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal.
One of the things that I've noticed is the pockets never seem to fail. I mean, kids love
amazing.
I've worked in elementary schools.
Oh, everything. Yes.
Old people do.
Sleeves.
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone. It doesn't matter what audience I have; they love to see the pockets.
Yes. Well, the cord becomes a tail almost that they like to pull,
yes. And
even the lower grades, when we're doing afternoon carpool, you get kids who want to come and hold on to your cord as you're walking into the spots where they're going to pick up people. And so it's like
it's a little bit more like a leash.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is my pet.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely get dragged here and there by the kids. Like, no, please don't do that. Thank you.
Exactly. Or don't pull on the cord. It's cinching my tummy too tight. And so it's so it is.
We have that problem, brother. We have that problem.
So you work with kids now. Not something you ever thought you would do. Obviously, kids are a joy in small doses. You seem like a gregarious guy that would like to just rile kids up. Is this what you do? You walk in the classroom, create chaos, and walk away? Is this your job?
Yes, it is in a lot. It is in the way because again, I'm louder than most, and and most people are like, please tone it down, go away. But when you're with kids, yes, there are some kids who put their hands over their ears whenever Father Jim shows up because they're not. It's too much for them. But like I will knock on a door and it's like, and you hear from the other side of the door, it's Father Jim, it's Father Jim, it's Father Jim, and I have a key to open the door, but out of politeness, I would prefer that the teacher or one of the students open the door. But as soon as I walk in, to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they're out of their seats, again, and they're swarming me, and it's like, and sometimes like the librarian sees it and says, they maul you. It's like get
Piranhas.
away from it. No, but you can't. Yes, exactly. And so there is this sense in which they're all screaming and yelling because I scream and yell. Because my big thing is in the morning. Robin Williams and Good Morning Vietnam. It's like
Sure.
I scream out Good Morning TFS. And the resounding Good Morning that comes back. I do it whenever I have mass with them in the church. At the sign of the cross, the greeting. Good Morning TFS, and the church shakes because the Good Morning. I wish that it shook as much with your spirit, or I wish it shook as much with thanks be to God. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But it is. It's like and then after, because I had to tell them something or I thank them something, and then basically I do like, now I'm backing away. I close the door and I leave the teacher with the kids all over the classroom. And it's like, and they come after school. Why did you do that? It's like I said, because it was fun.
Oh yeah.
And so it just is. That's how.
Well, this is what it's like being a friar. You are the uncle. You are the
Yes.
fun one. We're not really much for disciplinarianism. We're the joy. We are the children. Look at the beauty of the world.
Right.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like get excited about wonder and get excited about mystery and what's just being another day. It's like it's another day. Yay!
One of the things that I experienced when I was in Greenville is I was reading to a group of kids, kindergartners, and they brought over this book of like crayons. The book was like had 12 crayons, and each color had its own sort of personality and name. And I, of course, foolishly began by reading the different colors with different voices. And then they started going, do another voice. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I have 12 voices in me.
Yes, yeah. You open up Pandora's box. That's what you have.
Now tell me, when have you bit off more than you could chew with the kids?
Oh, it's like doing thumb wrestling. Especially with when you do K through 3 and they're waiting for their pickups and let's thumb wrestle, okay, and you always have to lose. So it's like oh, you beat me, let's do it again. No, why don't you beat me? It's that or rock paper scissors.
Right.
It's like that's the big thing. Okay, I'm done playing. I'm walking away. And so it's
that's the difficult thing is once you do one thing, you have to do it for everyone.
Oh, yeah. Again, it is, But if I happen to be, one time it was like, it's the read to somebody day. It's a national read to somebody day. So this is what third grade does. Well, okay, I got like maybe 2 books. No, here's a stack of 7. It's like, I am not going to sit here and read 7 books to everybody and trying to be like, I'm interested in reading all these books. But you have to. You get it at times. And a lot, part of the auction, the school fundraiser is, it's read a Christmas story with Father Jim. Well, it's not a Christmas story. It's like 10 Christmas stories. And the fact that they're sitting there, waiting for you to finish reading them. It's amazing. It's again, that attention span, as long as you have, like you say, Tito, the different voices, to kind of make it, you're not going to read it like saying, and Santa went into the sleigh and said, reindeer, let's go.
Right.
There was a kid, I'm sure you deal with it at different ages as well, but there's always some just like, they're little adults. Or maybe they're just like somewhere on the spectrum and they just like speak so matter of fact in second grade. Yeah.
Oh,
and so there's this one student, I'm walking around the room and I can answer like 10 questions, but I can't answer every single question. And it's like, all right, kids, I got to go to the next class. And this kid raises his hand. He's very sad. He's like, Father Casey, it hurt my feelings that you didn't pick on me. It's like, he just says like so matter-of-factly as a second grader.
Exactly. Yes. No, because like the kindergartners. So at Mass, the kindergartners sit with the 8th graders. So they have like this buddy system that begins when at the beginning of the year, and so it's a wonderful kind of thing.
That would be great for behavior for our 8th graders.
Yeah.
Well, it is, and it does. It keeps them in check because they have. It's like they've been given an egg that they have to take care of for the time being of Mass. Do not break the egg.
I love it.
So they have the kid. But like I will go to the 8th grade and do, because how we do homilies, it's just kind of you try to get them to talk and things like that. So you don't have to talk. But the 8th graders again are reluctant by all means, and it begins. It's wonderful because I have this knack of knowing their names, and I can call on them, all off the top of my head and things like that. But what happens is that if I'm done talking to the 8th graders, I'll go to another class. Well, the kindergartner's like, why didn't you call on us? Why didn't you call on us? Well, because you don't know the answers. No, it's like, why didn't you call on us? And so, but there's almost indignation, like you say, Casey, almost indignation. You should have called on us.
Right. How many names would you say you know?
Out of the 668 that we have, I would say I probably know about 400. Of them,
that's impressive.
It's like, but again,
It's
but you have. I've been working, so it'll be 7 years that I'm here in October, and I've gotten 7 years to sort of keep the same kids in
That's
faces. True. The faces do change, again as you move through those ages. But I have the lucky thing of having that a continuity of faces at the school.
Oh, I find it so tough.
Impressive.
So I work at 3 different schools, and they're all smaller. So you've got like 420 in one, 180 in another, and then the college. And the students every once in a while they'll come up like, Father Casey, do you know my name? It's like, oh, why are you doing this to me? And so I always come up with like Rumpelstiltskin or like Cinderella. You just got to mess with them
too. And it's like, so do you? No, well. Do you? Well, again, so this is one thing to know common culture and what are the current names that are being named in the last 5 years or 7 years or whatever.
Madison,
Amanda, or Madison, or Vivian, or something like that.
Sophie.
And then when I say, because I don't remember their name, or I don't know their name, and I say, Vivian, no. Well, then I decide to go out. I decide to go like really weird, Clotilde. No. It's like Ermengarde. No. And it's like, and then they will tell me that like I'm Sophia. No, that's not your name. That's not your name.
Are you familiar with the subreddit Tragedy?
No.
I'm not. No.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to derail this whole conversation, but really quickly. Really quickly.
As if we had a focus.
Right.
As if there's a focus. The camera's going to break in about 5 minutes.
Really quickly. The subreddit Tragedy is about people who spell their names differently. So, for example, so Tragedy, they spelled the D sounding part as DEIGH.
Oh.
Yeah.
D.
So Tragedy. So it's a play on the fact that people are spelling their names in really weird ways. One of the names was Percy, PUR apostrophe SEE.
So Percy.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I'm with you when it comes to like some people are doing weird things with their names, and it's like you're not making it easy for us.
No, exactly. I'm waiting for my first Clotilde.
My sister put me on that subreddit, and now I'm like addicted to it.
Oh, jeez, that's great.
That's so sad. So obviously, lots of fun, and every day is a new day with the kids.
Yep.
Yes.
How has it changed? 7 years. You never expected this. What can you take from it now that you say like, this can be a challenge with all the germs, but I love this or this.
It's the idea of being open, and not fearing, I guess, and not fearing the future. And I guess the more that you basically try to say, this is the way my life is going to go, and this is like you just said, can you plan out your life? It's like, and you try to plan out your life, you'll never succeed. And if you aren't, I think that's one thing that our life affords us is the ability not to become entrapped, to become entrapped in our control of our life, or to be entrapped in the planning of our life. Because when you do that, your dreams kind of die, I think, or else they become muted in some ways. Because again, kicking and screaming, I came to North Carolina, but I had to realize I could continue to kick and scream the entire time, and that would have destroyed me, because again, it's like because I need people, I need life, I need something around me. I couldn't become a recluse and then basically just live out the rest of my fire years. And so when I realized that, I needed to say, well, what is here? And when you find people who want to make you a part of something and ask you to be a part of that, it becomes hard to say no, because the invitation is sincere and it's genuine. And that's kind of like what has been really the change. And that's opened up all kinds of doors, in so many ways for me to experience what I've experienced here.
So, Jim, we alluded to this, that you have a PhD, and so you didn't just give up that PhD to go work in an elementary school, to give up on your dreams. You are, in fact, still using it. So there's another part of your life, which I find, honestly, a little more interesting, but it's only because I'm kind of into this world and kind of a nerd. But you work in the diocese for liturgy, which I'm sure is a non-contentious job. You never have fights. You never have controversy.
It is like being in a Club Med kind of vacation. Just put my feet up, and people they throw roses at you when you come into the room.
Yes, they always love the liturgist.
Right?
Everyone just loves the liturgist.
No one has beef with liturgists at all. None.
Never, ever, ever, ever. And everyone wants to look to a liturgist for knowledge. They do, because no one knows anything about liturgy. Of course not. And so,
No.
So what does that job entail? What do you do?
So my day job or whatever, I am director of worship for the Diocese of Raleigh. So and that means basically that I am the Episcopal MC of the diocese. I'm the MC for the bishop. I travel with him. There are many of the diocesans who call me his shadow, and I don't think that that's a compliment. But I travel with him for many kind of events, and anything that involves the hat and the cane is when I need to show up. I don't need to be with him the whole time. I'm not a day nurse. I'm not somebody who needs to constantly walk with him everywhere. But if the hat and the cane are in force, then it's me. And he is grateful for that. He does say things like that. Father Jim allows me to pray. And so I'm going to say, well, I'm grateful for that, because I haven't prayed a Christmas or an Easter in 7 years. But that's the one part of it. The other part of it is because, again, my personality is always, and so how do I refine that to gently remind, my brother priests, as well as other religious and even the faithful of the diocese, that maybe things should be this way when we celebrate X, or when we engage Y, or when something happens. And so, so basically, I try to be a resource, as well as a gentle reminder, and as well as carrying through what is. So Luis Sarama is the Bishop of Raleigh. What is Bishop Luis' idea for liturgy, which basically he doesn't really have an idea for liturgy. He's one of the few bishops, and I will say that, I will stress that, few bishops, I think worldwide, who don't want to have their thumb on everything liturgical. And so basically he kind of just says, well, Jim is in charge. Jim is in charge, which is a wonderful way basically of brushing it all off onto me. So it's like, I become the scapegoat.
Everyone gets angry at you.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Exactly.
That sounds exactly like my leadership style. I'm just saying.
Well, so that means I have you to blame then for the last Eucharistic Congress, which I was at. I was there with you. Everything was beautiful. But just a little nitpick here. We get to the end of the first day, and there's only one day, first prayer, and he does this beautiful thing where we're doing adoration, and then he says he wants to kneel to us to recognize that we are the presence of Christ, which was beautiful, and it was a wonderful symbol. But he forgot that the whole faithful, there's like 2,000 or 3,000 of us, are all kneeling on the hard concrete. And we've been kneeling for 30 minutes. I was like, Bishop, you better stand up, because I'm about to strangle you. I need to sit down.
Right.
It's a great show.
And you will notice, this is where, watch what Father Jim does. because I didn't kneel, because I knew this was ridiculous. I wasn't gonna. So I just piously, and again, I can't do this with my hands because I just think I look idiotic. And so basically, my hands are at my side, and I'm just kind of like just looking around. And so it just, but that was it. Yes, because the Congress took place in the convention center, and it was, and Casey, you didn't see the behind the scenes, or I'm like, no. So it just was like, and I want to tell you that after that morning prayer, I went to Starbucks and I sat there until like 3:30 when I had to come back to get ready for the Eucharist. So the Congress was fantastic for me because I ate a Danish. I had 3 macchiatos.
Because that's what you needed, more coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
More caffeine for Jim.
Right.
More caffeine.
He needs a little pick-me-up.
That's right.
Indeed.
You seem kind of down
right
now.
Oh my god. So it is. I guess I can't. I got to rally myself all the time.
But real question: do people come to you with questions? Like, do priests in the diocese or other people in the diocese come to you with questions like, how should we do this, or why do we do this, that kind of thing?
Yes, yeah, and it goes, and I'm grateful, that they want my help, and many of the times, like I'm putting them at ease, for things that they think are the way that we should be doing them, and or they've been taught that this is the way, and they say to them, yeah, no, that maybe was the way, or that was well-meaning, but really we don't need to focus on that anymore, kind of thing. And so, so lots of kinds of questions. So, like case in point, so during the and some things I have to say, don't ever do that again. It's like you're trying to say that gently,
Right.
because so this is where during the pandemic, one again well-meaning pastor trying to deal with pandemic, especially so in the height of pandemic in 2021, I guess, what to do Ash Wednesday of 2021. And he didn't know what to do because you can't touch, but he felt the need. Everybody had to have ashes. You don't have to have ashes on Ash Wednesday. But everybody felt the need to have it. And so he didn't know, he couldn't touch people. So what he did was basically take ashes, and he went through the entire celebration. He had 3x5 cards, and he ashed the 3x5 cards, and he passed those out to people. And it's like, great. Don't do that. You don't have to do that.
Don't do that.
Because again, it's like no. But it's like he had all these little, and he showed me what he was doing. It's like on the altar, 3x5 cards were all laid out in beautiful order, and he basically ashed each of the cards, and then passed them out for people as they were leaving the church.
Oh my god,
that's creative.
So it's like it's like little things.
It's interesting.
Like that are wonderful. It's like, but really,
do you know what comes to mind, Tito?
Yeah.
I don't know if Jim will get this reference, but wow, everyone's so creative.
Casey's frozen.
Yep.
TikTok.
Will he come back?
All we heard was TikTok.
All we heard was TikTok.
We're having a little delay here.
So I asked about people coming to you for advice and asking you questions because I remember reading, I don't know, maybe a little less than a year ago about a diocese where a bishop realized that people were using the wrong type of wine for the liturgy, and he published a letter that said that he realized that all the masses that had been celebrated like that were invalid. And I remember getting into a discussion with another friar saying, well, is it invalid or is it illicit? Because there's a difference. And I was just wondering about your opinion on it.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it becomes so. These are the kinds of things. Again, there are so many poor and starving people in the world who are lost and need to be found, and whatever it is. And we're worried about wine. That it's wine. It needs to be wine. Does it need to be a certain percentage? Yes, it does say that canonically. But again, has anybody? Have we conjured a little demon because we didn't use the right percentage within the wine?
Right.
Because so this is one of my very first things that I ever did in emceeing with Bishop. There were a couple, but this was one that was a standout. We have a priest retreat that happens. It's a week. It's a week at the beach. It's not bad. It's in this resort that was best in I think that its heyday was 1943, but it's still is functional,
Good.
and you know, it's okay and things like that. Well, you have to have mass every day. And so, you know, thank God for us, we don't always have to have mass when we do something every day. But the church, there's a church that's just down the street from the resort, and so that's where we have all the masses and the morning prayers. Well, again, there were one of the well-meaning other priests who was trying to help me put out hosts into a bowl, and we had it all together. But I looked and I was counting. I was looking at the host, looking at the number of priests. Plus, then there were also some lay people who came in to join because anybody wants to be where priests are. So they're there. So there's a lot more people than I was thinking might be there. Is there enough hosts? Is there enough hosts? Well, what happened was when it was time to to distribute the patens to the ordained, because that's what you do. They do not come forward to receive. I went to the tabernacle and got the ciboria, the reserved hosts that were there, and I unthinkingly added some to one of the patens that was going to go out to the clergy. Well, you think again that Lucifer himself, was going to appear on the altar. I had a young priest running up the altar,
leftovers to
running
dinner.
up the aisle, running up the aisle, basically telling me, "We can't receive those. We can't receive those." And I was lost as to why. Because in my doctoral studies, me, a PhD in liturgy, I had never studied, and even when I was doing my MDiv at our illustrious institution of Washington Theological Union, I was never ever told that the ordained celebrating the liturgy must never receive from the reserved sacrament. They can only receive from that which is consecrated there. And it's like, really? And it's like, and I was like, get back to your seat. And so and
don't ever do that again. Bishop Louise looks at me and basically just smiles. And it's like, because he is not somebody to get bent out of shape about these things, but there are many who are. And it's like, and again, this is what their priesthood is. It's all of these incidentals, and not where liturgy it goes. Where not liturgy directs us. It's not lex vivendi. It's not the living faith. It's not. It's not. We're supposed to. And so it's like it's these kinds of things. And it goes. There's another one. My second chrism mass. Okay. So I am helped by very well-meaning priests, but some of them can be just a little bit nudgy, when it comes to just wanting to get it perfect and right. And it's like, I don't really need your help that much because you're driving me crazy. So we have this one again who loves to have beautiful covering. So the chrism mass, you have 3 oils, for catechumens, for the sick, and then for the sacred chrism. 3 tables, and bishop is supposed to bless, all the oils on each of the tables with a certain prayer. There's one for catechumens, one for the sick, one for the chrism. He has all these tables out, and he has signs on each of the tables. I know that the center table is chrism, but there are signs on the other 2 tables. That's catechumens, and that's the sick. Well, the signs are facing the assembly and not facing the other side where I'm taking bishop from place to place. So we came to catechumen oil, and we did the blessing for the sick. We did chrism, and it's like being told by one of the seminarians, we did the wrong blessing. We did the wrong blessing. I just said, keep going. And so basically, we did the oil of catechumens prayer for the oil of the sick, so the oils go into the back to be bottled and packaged to then be brought out to the faithful to be brought back to the parishes. Well, I had 2 master of ceremony ordained who were helping me, who never helped me again, but they were helping me, and they ran into the back sacristy and basically told them, the wrong oils have been blessed. We need to, get a sticker or something to change the names of each of it, because on each of the bottles already was an applique that had said that it was OI, oil of the sick, oil OC, oil catechumens. And so they are placing stickers on the bottles and writing sick, and I go back there and I said, what the hell are you doing? And I try to keep my voice silent because mass is going on right behind. I was furious with them. I said, you just made this into magic, and this is not what this is about. And this is, but this is where sometimes I am fighting against really magic
themes in all of
Yeah.
this.
So
And
that's
it's
really
like-
interesting. I love that you go that direction. So tell me, I have an understanding of the difference between liturgy and magic, but I
Right.
think that there is sort of a reaction, of course, in our culture to whether real or perceived, the 60s, 70s, 80s, even in the 90s of the crazy things that came from the liturgy. And so there's definitely a reaction to that to say, like, no, we need to do the reds, say the black. We need to
Right.
follow
Yes,
the
yes.
rules. And I'm all for that. I like following the rules. There's a
right, right,
hypersensitivity
right.
to that. But as you say, I think that there can be something lost in it where you can make the Eucharist into a source of, it can be an idol if it's not actually Jesus.
Yes.
It's just like a magical
yes.
little
Right.
token. So
Exactly.
explain to us, like, what's the difference between liturgy and magic?
Well, I mean, the basic difference between what does it mean to change something and what does it mean to transform it? Because magic is about changing. It's like, what's it? Professor McGonagall can change into a cat, in Harry Potter. That's something becoming not what it is. You are manipulating it into becoming something that it's not. What we do in sacraments is transform something. We don't turn it. We let it become, or God makes it become what it is meant to become, or makes it become more fully what it is. Bread and wine are not changed into the body and blood of Christ. I scream at people when they go in that direction because you just made it into magic, and that's where you think there's the awe and the sacrality and and all of the the wonder and the beauty of it, but it's not. What bread and wine become, which nourish us in one way, now nourish us in the most deepest way possible, to eternal life, to basically living the fullness of what our life is meant to be. That's liturgy. Liturgy is about transformation. That's about us being transformed. It's not about us changing into anything, because change is arbitrary and it's also relative. It's like and what's one change for one person is something terrible for another person. But we've always, our sacraments, our liturgy is always about transformation, and we can never lose sight of that. But again, it's too many centuries. It's about changing bread and wine to Jesus, and it's just like, stop it.
So what is it that got you into liturgy? What gives you the passion for it?
Some people say because my father's side of the family is Russian. Again, if you really truly want to understand liturgy, you go to an Orthodox liturgy. But again, what happens with an Orthodox liturgy is that it is so concerned with all of the pomp and the colors and the incense and all of the rubric and the drama and whatever it is that you can kind of get lost, of its real meaning in the midst of it. But there's a beauty in being able to enact it, and I think that was one of the factors that kind of got me curious about liturgy and worship. But the other thing is that my mother, when we were very early, from very early age, my mother would take us to the Easter Vigil. And remember, I'm in that time and space in life in which the Easter Vigil moved from being something on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon to then Saturday evening. And with the reforms that came in, and so in the 70s, basically we would go to the Easter Vigil, I loved it because you got candles, you got to light candles, and but then you begin to realize that this is something ancient. I think all the Mass is not boring father. It isn't that there is depth to it and beauty and all kind of wonder, and I wanted to learn more about that and how it came to be, and realizing that it like what we have today isn't always what it was, and then the power again that's unleashed when you really move into liturgy appropriately. So it's something I think we all need, to recognize and to be brought back again. So the other thing, because again, I'm in the South, and Catholics are few and far between. Yes, there's a lot more of us than there were, maybe 50 years ago, but they're few and far between. And in North Carolina, very evangelical South. You're at the beginning of the evangelical belt, the one side and things like that. I am amazed at how many calls I get from Baptists, from evangelicals, whatever. Come and get rid of a demon in my house. And my thing is always, what the hell? I mean, it's like, literally, what the hell? It's like, what's the matter? Your own ministers, can't deal with this? And the thing about it was, you want me to do mumbo jumbo voodoo, don't you? And so it's like, which makes you think, there was an episode in The Simpsons in which Mr. The boss of the nuclear power plant.
Gosh.
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns gets shot.
Excellent.
And he's in the hospital. Excellent. And he's in the hospital, and Marge says, well, should we do anointing? Should we do an anointing of the sick? And the pastor, what's his name from their church, said, Marge, that's Catholic. You want me to do a voodoo dance? And so that's the whole thing. But that's what you get, is that they turn to you because they look at you as some kind of magical wizards. And it's like, oh my God. I was in the Northeast. I was in Providence, Rhode Island. Most of our formation is above the Mason-Dixon line for Holy Name Province. And we'd never encounter something like this, but you come here, and all kinds of people are asking these kinds of questions.
I'm wondering, when we look at the liturgy, there's a lot of changes internally, but then externally, I think a lot of people look at the liturgy as kind of boring, and it's sort of irrelevant. So there's a move for some to move to the Latin Mass, and there's some to move to guitar mass, big mega church type thing. What does it mean to be relevant in our world? I mean, do you think that the Mass is irrelevant?
It can be. If it isn't celebrated, because it is a celebration, and this is where the whole thing is. Remember the preface dialogue before the Eucharistic prayer. Lord be with you, with your spirit. Lift up your hearts. Even when a child has died, a funeral of a child, lift up your hearts. It's not ignoring the pain. It is certainly not ignoring the tragedy. It is not ignoring any of this. But where is our focus as believers? Is it to drown in grief, or is it to come to a realization that here is a God who is more powerful than the death that we are experiencing right now? Those kinds of dynamics need to be retrieved and understood and embraced and loved in so many ways to make liturgy relevant. If it isn't, because there's a whole other kinds of a thing. If it isn't, then it's worship. I'm the director of worship. It's really the director of liturgy for the diocese. Worship is basically us praying to God because we think that God needs to be prayed to, that God needs us to bow and scrape and to sing badly and to give half-hearted responses because somehow that makes God God. Again, that's sort of blasphemy right then and there, because God does not need that. If God does, then God isn't God. Liturgy is, yes, us praising God, blah, 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 but it's listening to then what God says back to us. Or it's listening to what God says to us first, the first initiative, and then responding to it. Until we get that right, then liturgy is all this play acting and the focus on make sure that I've got this much lace on my, on my surplice or my alb, or that we have this percentage of alcohol in the wine, or that we only use prefabricated hosts that taste like cardboard. All those kinds of things like that. We have to get beyond that to recognizing the fact, what is God asking of us as believers in the world? Let your light shine. You are light, on a city set on a hill. You are the light of the world. Those are realities that we have to sort of start believing, are the truth about us, and where our witness then needs to move from is in that recognition. If we don't, because we have everything to challenge the world's cynicism, we have everything to challenge the world's, a stubbornness and its obstinacy, to challenge its indifference. We have all of that at our disposal in liturgy. And yet, do we take it seriously enough? Do we want to take it seriously enough? That's the question.
I like this notion of liturgy as a dialogue between us and God. And it kind of reflects my experience of the Mass, right? Where a Mass is a conversation as a presider, right? It's a conversation with God, but also with the people. And I remember getting into the conversation with somebody one time where I expressed that I once ended up celebrating Mass alone. I was traveling, and I came to this place, and they gave me, a sort of a travel set, and I celebrated Mass in my room. And I expressed, I was like, I felt weird. It felt uncomfortable. And the people said, why? And I was like, well, because
something's missing.
It's a dialogue, right? I say, the Lord be with you, and then what? With my own spirit, It's so the very expressions of it call.
To be fair,
for
that's
a
like
response.
a high school Mass. I'll
Right.
say the Lord be
Wait,
with you, and then I'll respond.
yes,
So I'm used to that.
It can
True.
be.
Okay, true. But yeah, I don't know. What's your opinion on it? I'm not a fan of the solo mass. Whenever possible, I'm going to try and either be presiding or sitting with the people.
Right. No, and again, and that's, Tito, that's the other part of it. What's wrong with us sitting with the assembly? Again, gone is the idea, because I still have people ask, well, don't you have to do Mass every day? No. It's like the Second Vatican Council said, stop that, because it was becoming so routine as to become empty, and sort of pointless. And so this is the whole thing with you did Mass every day, and that gave rise to the idea of doing Mass by yourself, because under pain of mortal sin, you had to do this, or else end up in hell. And that's why you will find the private Mass at the very end of the missal. Because only if an asteroid is coming to destroy the Earth and you feel the need to pray to God, well, you're going to see him in a few minutes. It's like for some reason there's nobody else around but you, and so maybe do a private Mass. But if you don't, it's rather absurd. Because, like you say, the Lord be with you and with your spirit. Lift up your heart and lift it up to the Lord. It's like you can't. Well, the thing is, you can't pray. You can't celebrate the Mass alone.
Right.
The whole thing is meant to be done with people. I guess you could just Father, Son, Holy Spirit, go the opening prayer, maybe say the Gloria, then do some readings, and then I guess jump to the Eucharistic prayer, read that in its totality, and then give yourself communion. I guess you
Then you just kind of you're checking boxes,
feels,
right?
Yeah, it definitely feels emptier without people.
Yeah.
I mean, literally there's no people there, but also the liturgy itself, the movement itself feels emptier.
Right. It is. I mean, again, it's to try to shy away from that. I mean, there are guys, there's a chapel within the Catholic Center where my office is, and the previous bishop had put that in. Again, Bishop Luis is not really keen on using it a lot because he wants people to be in their parishes. But I do get priests, again, who will show up and who will, go into the chapel and do their own little Mass. And I needed to find out who is doing that. So I put in a little sheet that says, put down your name and the intention, the reason why you're here, so that I keep a record of this. But yeah, it's like this neat. I have to. Well, why?
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jim. It's been wonderful to see you.
It's been wonderful to be with both of you guys. Thank you for asking for me.
Absolutely. Well, we will see you hopefully soon.
All right. Okay. Take care, guys. Happy Lent.
Peace. So, Tito, I got to tell you, I can't wait to watch this interview again because I missed half of it with my poor internet connection. It's been one of those episodes.
You know what? This is the episode where everything goes wrong.
Yeah. We literally started with him breaking the camera. He reaches for it. The whole thing turns to the side, and it's got all the colors. And like, oh, Jim, what did you do? We spent 30 minutes trying to set it up.
I love the repeated muttering of, I have a PhD. I have a PhD.
What a guy.
Oh, yeah. I got to live with him in Boston when he was still teaching at in Providence with the Dominicans. For a brief period there, he would spend weekends with us and it was just like that. It was a joy. I had a great time. And I got to pick his brain whenever I wanted, which I absolutely loved.
I think he's a great combination of brilliant and a bundle of chaos. I mean, just high energy, easy to get along with.
Yeah.
But also not a doofus or not lazy. Like he's going to work hard and he's going to bring something really interesting to the table. I love being around him.
Yeah, same here. I really enjoy it.
Well, we haven't come up with a catchphrase yet, or a sign-off, or any sort of little thing here. So if you have ideas in the comments, let us know.
People have implied that we should.
Yeah, we're just gonna say peace. Catch you next week.
Take care.